Okay guys, welcome to Wednesday's home workout. So similar format, we'll talk you through the whiteboard and then we'll demo the movements and go through scaling options and explanations on everything. So warm up today. As it's Wednesday, bit of gymnastics today. So 5 forward rolls, 5 neck bridges and 10 plank to press up position. 3 rounds through, and like I said, we'll demo all of that in a minute. Today's core stability work, quite challenging stuff. 5 headstand leg lifts, 10 Cossack squats, 10 inchworms, 3 rounds for quality. You'll notice this stuff is always for quality, so just make sure you're not looking at the clock and trying to rush through this stuff. I'll work out today, okay? 6 rounds for form, 60-second headstand, 60-second hollow hold, 60-second plank hold, and kind of a weighted addition to this would be in that plank hold, so you can either put a weight plate on your back or have a dumbbell sitting across your kind of back if you've got someone to help take it on and off, but I think this will be quite challenging without any weight regardless. So you'll do 3 minutes, 60 seconds, 60 seconds, 60 seconds, and then take 2 minutes rest between your rounds. All right. Extra credit today, road bike ski as always if you're lucky enough to have a machine, but you can also add running into this equation. So today is 20 minutes at RP6, so just a nice steady session of moving basically. And then mobility work today, we're going to go 10 wall squats, 10 wall slides, and then a 30-second cobra stretch, and we'll repeat that for 3 rounds. Let's go through.
Okay guys, so we're going to go through the movements for Wednesday's session now. So within your warm-up, starting off with 5 forward rolls. This might be regressing to childhood a little bit for some of you. So what you're going to do is find somewhere that's soft, okay? Don't be doing this necessarily on concrete or laminate floor or anything like that. So Dan's taking hands just outside of shoulder width here, you see. Pop his head onto the floor. And what you're going to do now is walk your feet up towards your elbows as much as possible, as close as you can get them, and then essentially just allow yourself to tip over, okay? Keep that nice rounded back so that you're comfortably falling onto that there, okay? Show you again. Okay, happy with that? There's 5 of those. We're then going to do something called 5 neck bridges. So Dan's going to take the same position essentially as we've just done with the forward rolls. And what we're going to do here, if Dan demonstrates, is go up onto the top of his head and just essentially roll, so you're rounding ever so slightly in the base of your neck, okay? Be careful with this position, nice and controlled, and you can come down to your knees as an alternative there. So as we're going into headstands, it's a really good movement there to warm up through your neck and through your head. We're then going to go 10 plank to push-ups. So Dan's going to take a plank position here, and what you're going to do is one arm at a time go up into the top of that press-up position there, okay? Trying to keep your core engaged throughout this movement, all right? So keep tension throughout. So as you warm up, we're going to go 3 rounds through there. So we'll move on to your core stability work here. So a little bit advanced, so we'll give you a few different options. We're going to start off with 5 headstand leg lifts. So in order to create the base for a headstand, you want to create a sort of a triangle here. So if you see 3 points of contact, Dan's 2 hands in his head is essentially a triangle. So what he's going to do here is go up onto his toes and walk his feet in towards himself. So what we'll do is we'll give you a few scaling options if you've not been into headstands before, is he'll bring one knee onto the elbow. So that's the very, very sort of most basic scale there. And then when you feel comfortable in that position, bring the other knee onto the second elbow and hold that position there. Again, keeping that base. We're then going to do 1 leg at a time up into that tuck position. Or both legs. Let's do both legs. And that's your headstand tuck position there. And then finally into that full headstand. Okay, so the headstand lift itself is to go from that base position to where Dan is now. But obviously, depending on where you are with that progression, you can either hold those positions with your knees on your elbows, one at a time, or both, and hold various scales depending on how comfortable you feel before progressing into that full headstand. We're then going to jump up onto your feet. We're going to go into 10 Cossack squats. Take a nice wide stance here. And we're going to sit down into the squat on one side. Sit down that weight into the heel. stretching out the inside of your thigh. If you need to bring that other foot off the ground, that's fine, and then you're going to alternate onto the opposite side. Most of you have done these before. If you need support because you're not able to get into that position, or you find that your feet can't sit flat on the floor, then use an upright of some sort, a door frame, something like that, just to basically guide you into that position and help you in and out. That's 10 of those, that's 5 each side. We're then going to go into 10 inchworms, all right? So if I get you side on, Dan. So what we're going to do here is trying to keep your legs as straight as possible. You're going to walk the hands all the way out, just as far as that reach will go. You can see that, guys. I'll show you where Dan's got to. And then you're going to walk those hands all the way back in. Keep those legs straight, though, okay? All the way through. And that's 1 rep. So you're going to perform 10 of those in total. Really think about getting that hamstring stretch and stretching out through your shoulders. So that's 3 rounds for quality there, okay? So then we're going to go into the main part of the session. I'll run through the sort of no equipment option. Like Dan said, the option to add some weight is on the plank itself. That's the only real scale up on this one. So we'll run through the no equipment option. So we're going to start off back into that headstand position, but this time instead of just raising the legs into the headstand and back down, you're going to hold this for 60 seconds. So again, creating that triangle base, knees onto the elbows if you need it. Come up into a tuck position and drive those legs up into a full headstand, okay? So we're going to hold this for 60 seconds or the amount of time that you are able to hold that for. If that's not a full minute, that's fine. Scale it as you need to, or scale where you're holding that position, be it the full headstand or not. That's absolutely fine, guys. And try and maintain that through. So if you're able to hold that for 15 to 20 seconds, try and maintain that across your 6 rounds, okay? And then from there, we're going to go into a hollow hold. So we've done quite a lot of these in classes before. You can see Dan at the moment. What he'll do is he'll raise the shoulders off the floor, and the same with his legs, okay? So your lower back and bum there is in contact with the floor, and we'll hold this for 60 seconds. Now I want you to try and keep your toes and legs clamped together. We're looking for tension throughout this entire movement, okay? So your core will be engaged, lower back's in contact with the floor, and quads should be squeezed, bumped nice and tight, everything under tension. These are your scaling options, okay? So you can bring your hands down towards your body. The rest of your body will be in the same held in the same way. Legs apart is another option there, or legs bent and bringing it towards your chest, okay? But at all times, keep that lower back in contact with the floor and keep your core engaged. So you're going to hold that for, again, 60 seconds, or if you need to, just scale that time that you're holding that for, okay? And then the final movement is our plank hold. So again, top of the press up position. What you can do here again is weight that. So just put a little bit of weight on your lower back. Make sure obviously it's safe and someone's able to help you in and out of that position. So what you'll see here is Dan ever so slightly pulled his hips in here, which means that we're holding tension through our core, and that's what we should be looking for in this movement, okay? So don't be letting your hips sort of sag and drop and creating that curve in your lower back. And if you are weighting it and you're finding that your hips are sort of pressing down towards the floor, you probably should remove that weight and just go back to your standard plank hold. So again, we've dictated sort of 60 seconds on this, but just hold it for the length of time that you're able to, and again, try and be consistent across those 6 rounds. So that's your 1 round, rest 2 minutes, and then we're going to repeat that 5 more times through. Okay, so we're going to go into your mobility work to finish off. So 10 wall squats. So if you can see, Dan's facing the wall now. And what we're going to do is arms stretched up above our head. We're going to try and sit down into that air squat, keeping our heels onto the floor, okay? So what we want to do here is try and challenge ourselves a little bit by getting as close to the wall as possible. Obviously, those of you with really good mobility will be able to sit real close to this. Those of you who might struggle will have to stand a little bit further back. And try and, if you can, over those 10 reps or over those 3 rounds, try and move just that little bit closer to the wall each time, keeping those hands in contact as you slide down the wall. We're then going to go into 10 wall slides. So you're going to take a seated position. Arms will be 90 degrees, okay? See that 90-degree bend in Dan's arms where at the elbow. And what you're going to do is keep your shoulders and arms in contact with the floor, with the wall. You're going to rise the arms, keeping them sliding against the wall, nice and slowly, until you hit the top of that range of motion, okay? See what Dan is doing now. And then you're going to bring them back down into that 90-degree position, okay? That's 1 wall slide. So keep everything in contact with that wall. As you can see, it's a very comfortable position and I'm sure you'll enjoy doing it, okay? And then finally, we are going to go into a 30-second cobra stretch. So Dan is going to go hips to the floor, and you can see, I'll just move the camera slightly, you can see he's got his forearms in contact there, just pushing away from the floor a little bit. Keep those hips and legs in contact, and you should feel a stretch just across your lower back there, okay? Again, if you've got any questions about today's session or any of the movements, like I say, some of them are a little bit more advanced than we're perhaps used to. If you've got any questions on any of the scales, just drop us a message or drop us a comment below and we'll answer that for you.